So this is the equilibrium, and we are going to be looking at producer surplus, consumer surplus, and deadweight loss. And remember that producer surplus is the difference between a price that a firm would be willing to sell the good at and the price that they actually receive. Consumer surplus is the price that a consumer would be willing to pay for a good or service and the price they actually pay. It's that difference. And then deadweight loss is the loss in efficiency due to an economy not being at equilibrium. So we are going to start by just looking at the equilibrium point. And if we're looking at the equilibrium point, then we know that our deadweight loss is equal to 0 because we're in equilibrium. If there were a price floor or there were a price ceiling, then there would be a deadweight loss and we would calculate that. For producer surplus, if we are at our equilibrium point, and our equilibrium point is right here, where quantity demanded equals quantity supplied, then our producer surplus is going to be this triangle. Which can be calculated with 1/2 base times height, since it's a triangle. Our base is going to be the number of units that we're selling, and the number of units that we're selling is 80. So 1/2 times 80 times our height, and our height is the difference between the price and the y-intercept of our supply curve, so 4. So 1/2 times 80 times 4, which gives us 160. Consumer surplus is going to be this area up here and this purplish blue looking triangle. And since it's also a triangle, we can actually use the same formula. So it's still going to be 1/2 times base times height. Our base is still going to be 80 because we're in equilibrium, so times 80. But our height is now 21 minus 15, which is 6. So 1/2 times 80 times 6, which is going to give us 240. The next one, we're looking at a price floor of $18, which means now our price is going to be here. If it's a price floor, that's saying that the lowest price that can legally be charged is $18. Since it's above our equilibrium price, it's binding. So we're again going to calculate producer surplus, consumer surplus, deadweight loss. So we'll start with producer surplus. For producer surplus, it's going to be the area above our supply curve and below our price. But this quantity right here of 40 is the amount that's actually going to be sold within this market. Even though there are substantially more suppliers willing to pay or willing to supply shrimp or whatever this is looking at to this market. So it turns into this trapezoid type figure. And if you choose to use your actual formulas, you can calculate this based off of the different formulas, or you can break it in to a rectangle and a triangle. And if you break it into a rectangle and a triangle, you're going to have 1/2 base times height plus length times width. And our 1/2 base times height is going to be 13 minus 11, which is 2, and our quantity, which is now 40. So we're going to have 1/2 times 40 times 2, plus our length times the width of the little rectangle on top, which is 18 minus 13, which gives us 5. So 5 times 40, which is going to give us 1/2 times 40 times 2 is going to give us 40. 5 times 40 gives us 200. When you add that together, you get 240. Consumer surplus is the area below our demand curve, above our price. So that's going to be, it's going to be this little green triangle at the top. And that is going to be 1/2 base times height since it's a triangle. So our height is going to be 40, or our base is going to be 40, sorry. So 1/2 times 40. And then our height is going to be 21 minus 18, which is 3, which gives us a consumer surplus of 60. And then last, we have our deadweight loss calculation, which is the triangle in the middle. That's the brownish, orangish kind of color. And to calculate our deadweight loss, it's also a triangle. So it's going to be 1/2 base times height. And our base is going to be the difference between the price that we're actually charging and the quantity. If we take our quantity, we go up to our supply curve, we see that it would have been $13. So it's the difference between 18 and 13, which is 5. So 1/2 times 5. And then the height is going to be the difference between the quantity that we're actually selling at our price floor and our equilibrium quantity. So 80 minus 40 gives us 40. So 1/2 times 5 times 40 is going to give us 100. Then the last one is going to, actually we need to fix this. This needs to say 13. Is going to be a price ceiling of $13. And if it's a price ceiling, that means that the highest price that can legally be charged is $13. And since it's below our equilibrium price, it's binding. So it's going to be here instead. And you can see that if we calculate our producer surplus, it's now back to being a little triangle. So it's going to be 1/2 base times height. So 1/2 times 40 times 2, which gives us 40. Our consumer surplus this time would be the sum of the triangle and the rectangle. So this green figure at the top. And again, you're more than welcome to actually memorize the formulas, or you can break it into triangle and a rectangle. So 1/2 base times height plus length times width. So 1/2 times 40 times 3 plus our length times our width. So 40, 18 minus 13, this is going to be 5. So this is going to be 60 plus 200 equals 260. And then our deadweight loss is this triangle in the middle. And this is the loss in efficiency from having a price floor or a price ceiling that's actually impacting the market. So it's going to be 1/2 base times height. So it's going to be 1/2 times 5 times 40, which gives us 100. Which of course I ran out of space because that's just kind of the way it goes.